because I'm a believer too.
Keith, nice to have you here, man.
Thanks a lot.
Nice to meet you. This, as you well know, let me jump right into this,
Okay.
because a big piece in the New York Times about it
Yeah, I
today.
heard about that.
I'm sure you saw this piece?
Yeah, I just saw it.
In the Times today? This is the first series, first dramatic series about a war in progress. And so on today's, in today's New York Times, you got an article here, Iraq veterans question over there. Now, this isn't terribly uncommon. Anytime you do a movie about a war, there are people who have questions with it, questions about it, issues with it. But this is dramatically different because it is the first time, again, that we've done a dramatic series about a war in progress. How challenging is that for you guys? I
think it's very challenging because the unique thing about this project is that it's art that is happening as we speak. So you have a high level of responsibility to tell the story as is because people are being affected by it as we speak. So there was a lot of pressure going in to make sure that we got everything right, you know, up to detail, so that people could see it and kind of get a good sense of what these young men and women are actually going through right now.
Let me ask you two things. One, whether or not you think you guys got it right.
Yeah.
You think you got it right?
I think we got it dead on. In the form, in a television medium, I think you couldn't come any closer than what we're doing every week with the show.
And the second thing, how do you continue to get it right? The series, which I assume is already shot, runs through the 19th of October, and every day this situation seems to change. Grows, How do you make this? How do you make what's already shot for early October relevant, given the fact that it keeps changing every day?
Well, we don't do stories that are necessarily ripped from the headlines. We do parallels of stories that could have happened, that may happen, that could actually happen. So what we try to do is pay attention to the detail as far as the technique, the psychology, the violence, and all the elements, all the ingredients that make up a war. And this could possibly happen given this particular situation every week. So it's not a thing where we're trying to line up with exactly the war that's going on right now. It's kind of a depiction of a realistic view of how it may look if you were actually under a helmet behind a berm, you know, with a machine gun having to carry out these types of missions that these people are doing.
How much are we going to see of the politics of this war? And I mean politics in the war from the perspective of the soldiers, because I know that obviously while they're fighting to defend our country, and we value and appreciate and embrace and love them for that, they've got their own thoughts about being over there. We hear all kinds of stories about troop morale, and clearly there are politics with this issue. President Bush, I love this language, interrupted his vacation to do his job, to give a speech yesterday, another speech today, but there are politics happening every day. How do you guys at all touch the politics of this war in Iraq?
You know what, we don't really necessarily address the politics to say yay or nay the war. We kind of dictate the war and tell the story and let the viewer take their own view on it. I think if you watch the show, you're going to make your own, it's going to reveal your own political agenda. And we kind of depict 7 different soldiers who might have these types of views. There might be a soldier over there like my character Angel, who is a spiritual guy who's in conflict of the war but is over there still carrying out those missions. You might have another guy from, you know, a bad neighborhood who wanted to get away from his hood and joins the war. So we kind of do it as if one of these soldiers could be over there right now. So it's not necessarily exactly a specific person over there, but I think for every 7 soldiers, I think we represent probably a couple 100,000, you know, soldiers per character.
Tell me more about your character, Angel.
Well, he's a guy from Arkansas. He's from the South, and after college, after high school, he wanted
Angel from Arkansas.
Angel from Arkansas, that's right. They call him Angel because he's a singer. And he ventured up to New York City to join the choir. Didn't make the choir and didn't want to go back to Arkansas empty-handed. So he decided to join the service just to kind of get away and you know and make something of his life. And he ended up being right dead smack in the middle of the war. And he's actually the guy who has to do a lot of the missions that the other guys won't or can't do. As far as you know, like this episode where he has to take out this alleged insurgent. So it's a good character.
You are obviously an African-American. You play obviously an African-American character in this. We both know that the armed forces in this country are disproportionately made up of people of color. Tell me how you processed being or playing this character of a brother who's fighting in this war in Iraq.
I basically processed it. I think my character represents a lot of brothers who have the same views that this character does, as far as, you know, being from the South, the Bible Belt, having dreams of being a musician, not making it, and having an intense fear of failure, not making anything out of his life. So in a hasty decision, he decides to join the armed forces. And I think there's a lot of men and women over there who are in the same predicament, just like him. So I feel like I'm representing probably like I said, a few 100,000 soldiers who feel the same way that this character does.
Yeah. You're a conscientious brother. Tell me what you thought. I mean, Stephen Bochco is a great producer. Working with Bochco is an opportunity of a lifetime. But tell me what you thought, honestly, when you actually saw the script, whether or not you had trouble juxtaposing the script with your own politics, whether or not you wanted to play a part in a war that was ongoing. How did tell me what you thought when you actually saw the script for this series?
I thought the writing was incredible. I also knew that it would be controversial because of the the subject matter and because the war.
Did that scare you or attract you to it?
I got to be honest. At first, it scared me a little bit. At first, I was hesitant because I didn't really know what kind of effect this art would have. But the other side of me, being an artist, you want to be involved in projects that are going to provoke thought, that are going to strike up emotions, that are going to make people think, and you want to do projects that make sense and mean something. And I don't think there's any other project that I've done or will do that will probably be as heavy or make as much sense as the one I'm doing now. So I jumped back for a minute. Then when I thumbed through it, I dived head first into it. I'm glad I did.
Yeah, I'm glad you did too. I mentioned earlier that you're doing a project with James Earl Jones. I'll get to here in just a second. But hanging out with Bochco, hanging out with James Earl Jones, these are legends, obviously, in this business. You mentioned an angel was from Arkansas. Tell me about Keith Robinson, where he's from and how in this acting business.
Keith Robinson is from Georgia.
Down south.
Down south.
So you know this southern thing, really?
Yeah. It wasn't a far fetch for me. And I'm actually a musician myself, so it was kind of a custom-made fit for me. I grew up in South Carolina and Georgia. 3 surrounding cities: Augusta, Georgia; Atlanta, Georgia; Greenville, South Carolina. And I started off in music. I went into college and met a couple guys. We formed a group. We got the record deal in Atlanta and started touring around town trying to make our record. And then we decided to, drive out to Los Angeles and continue. And the acting thing kind of happened by accident. I just walked into a room in an acting class, and the lady thought I was pretty good. Told me to go read for this role on Power Rangers. And I didn't know what a Power Ranger was. I thought it was a voiceover, but I went because I needed the money. I was telemarketing, so I went in and I got the role. And after that, I just continued to.
So you started out as a Power Ranger,
a superhero, right? Running around with a cape, beating up aliens. Yeah, it was good, man. It was fun.
Well, in a very real way, you start out as a superhero, and when you're representing the country and the armed forces, they're superheroes too.
For sure.
So the career has gone full circle.
Yeah.
Tell me about this James Earl Jones project.
We just did a project called The Reading Room. It's basically a film about a feel-good story about a reading literacy program in a bad neighborhood. And James Earl Jones is the mentor. He opens up this reading literacy program in the last dying wish of his wife. And I am a kid there who is trying desperately to get out of that neighborhood and go to college. And I think I have a reading disorder because I don't retain information like the rest of the kids do. But come to find out, I'm actually a genius, and it just took somebody sitting down and taking time with me and understanding what my problem was, and that's James Earl Jones' character. And he becomes a mentor to me. So it's a feel-good story about somebody giving back and kind of, raising his environment through, giving back.
Speaking of being a mentor in the film, has he become a mentor in real life? I mean, this guy he is a legend.
Definitely. I mean, when you're around him, you just kind of want to soak up as much information as you can because he's a living legend. I probably asked him too many questions. He probably don't want to see me for a while.
But you got to ask questions of the right guys.
Right.
We just had who was on this? Nick Cannon was on. You know Nick?
Yeah, I know Nick.
Nick was here not long ago, and you guys remind me of it because you're both young brothers. You both got music backgrounds. You got a clothing line.
That's right.
You do the acting thing. So tell me how you keep all these enterprises up in the air, and why are you so hungry?
I just like to stay busy. I feel like you should take full advantage of every talent you have. And I got a lot of ideas, so I want to put out as much good energy as I can and just create a body of work that runs the gamut. So the clothing line is Good Life Clothing. This is the shirt right here. I'm really excited about. Good Life Clothing. And I'm working on my album, and I'm just trying to do as much work as I can and just stay busy because you're supposed to do that when you're young, right? You sleep when you get older, right?
There you go.
That's what I heard.
My granddad, older, sleep when you die.
That's right.
You can sleep when you die. You work while you're living.
Right.
Keith, nice to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Keith Robinson. The show is on FX. It's called Over There. Starts on Wednesdays at 10 and runs all the way through October the 19th. Of course, another production by Stephen Bochco. Keith, nice to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
That's our show for tonight.